in that rationale for his ruling, he mentioned that the town had to have violated the Budget Act because back in September of 2010, that the council adopted a budget that had $204,000 deficit. But then he goes right under that, and you read it, and it says, but the Stephen Cottonham, Charlie Mason, and Devin Flowers were not a member of the council at that time. But Mayor Thompson was a part of the administration during that time. And so that had to be a violation of the law. Listen to it. You got to be able to really decipher and read this. I showed Devin my grades as a paralegal. I did pretty good. So God prepared me to be able to handle some of this stuff. Let me tell you, if that council violated the law by having voted on a budget that showed a $204,000 deficit, why is that council not in your court? You can't throw something out there like that and then say, oh yeah, but by the way, these guys were not on the board at that time. Well, for those of us who know the Larson Act, we understand that to adopt the budget is not a function of the mayor. But you throw it out there that I was a mayor at that time. But what does that have to do, anything to do with the privacy in China? What? But it helps you to justify somehow your biased ruling. And so I need for you to understand this, so that there are a lot of folks out here, because when it comes out on the news that they are guilty, knowingly and intentionally they are guilty. Then what does that do for some of us that's not too far removed from the plantation ourselves? What does that do? We totally messed up now. We totally messed up because Jimmy T said it. He's a smart man. He wears the robe. That's why I said on the radio the other morning that the color of the robe that they wear now don't change the mentality. Used to be white. It's black now with a gout. Ain't changing nothing. Then the TV comes out. He's guilty. And then what about the $385,000? That takes it to the next transition. You have in your packet. They call it where's the money? Show me the money. See that? Show me the money. Yeah. Show me the money. $385,000. They hammered this and hammered this. We won the election in October. We haven't had a chance to celebrate it yet. I'm still waiting for us to be able to celebrate that win, because I think we did win. It says show me the money, because every time you hear this on the news, you hear $385,000. $385,122.69 to be exact. Where's the money? Did we steal it? Did we misappropriate it? What did we do? Where does the number keep coming from? This is a listing of 172 items that when the legislative auditors came up to investigate my office, when they came up and spent the three months or 4 months investigating office, and now that they've spent over $1 million investigating me, they cannot find it in their heart, any of them, to try to figure out how to say we were sorry and we were wrong, so therefore we made a mistake. It's not the fashionable, it's not the popular thing to do. If you look at these checks, these checks will total that amount of money. But what the legislative auditors did, they left my office, went back to Baton Rouge. They were supposed to be through at that point. They told the district attorney that we find no fault and we find no criminal activity in the mayor's office. How do I know that? Because I was talking to the DA. He said it to me. All right? But then you get back to Baton Rouge, and then you call back, evidently, and get Andy Brown mobilized. And you tell Andy Brown, there's a problem over there. Now, what's the problem? According to legislative auditors, the only problem is that you don't have supportive documentation. Well, that's not the function of the mayor. That's the function of the woman who was the assistant, who was the clerk, whose job said that she should do that, who decided to resign when they came up. Okay? So, when we keep hearing that, I just thought it it's time for us to talk about it so you can look at them for yourself. When you're talking to your friends and they bring it up, because I heard some folks were taking these to some places and they were saying, yep, they must have messed up, they did that. Now, these are the checks they written to. And of all these checks, only 2 that I know of did Andy Brown submit to me and say he had a question about. You know what they were? One to Holiday Inn, that he found later that the firefighters stayed in because they had gone down to Lafayette for some type of firefighter competition. And the other one was written to a company called MAG, M-A-G, that I didn't even know about. I had to do some research on it and found out they were the company that came in and did the research or did the appraisal for the land that we sold at the airport. That was basically it. And so when I say to the sheriff, I said to him, man, I'm not mad at you. You say you've done your job. You say you're doing your job. But what we have the sheriff in court for now, and what we have the DA in court for now, is we want them now to produce the probable cause that they had for raiding our office. We want you to produce the documentation that says that you had something that rose to a level that we could all agree that constituted reasonable suspicion. These were the things that you're supposed to have when you come to do this. Now, when we met with the district attorney, when we went to court 30 days ago, they came in and said, we're not ready. We're not ready. And I'm saying, how can you not be ready? You started the fight. But you're not ready. Then they said, well, the judge said, we'll give you 30 days. We'll give you 30 days to prepare. And the guy said, yeah, I need that time to get my argument together. And I said to him, you got an argument? Really? You do. We'll see you in 30 days. We get back in 30 days, we go to court, and they're not there still. They can't find him. They say he's in Winfield. And I'm saying to them, then you need to do what you would do if it was somebody else and issue a bench warrant. Right. Do we not get double standards? We cannot show up and the first thing you say is, it's your bench warrant. Go get it. Go find it. And I'm telling y'all this so you'll be able to understand. We fight. We're fighting. This ain't no joke for us. We are fighting because we know that we cannot afford to lay down and to allow them to do what it appears they're trying to do, because this is going to send an impact for generations to come. Generations to come. So when he finally shows up, the district attorney, now he's here now. We waited for 4 hours. But it took our lawyer to say that we'll be here all day today, all day tomorrow, and the next day, until he shows up. And when he does show up, then the problem that they have is this. Now who's going to represent him? This is the district attorney. So who's going to represent the ADA? Doug Stokes is there, but Doug Stokes is also the town's attorney. So he can't represent. That's a conflict of interest. Yumika Washington is there, but she can't represent because she is the town judge. So then who shows up 15 minutes later? The district attorney himself. Do y'all think that was not by design? Do you think that he was not prepared and knowing that if we didn't give up and run away that he was going to have to show up? Yeah. And so for him to show up and to walk in and then to have the kind of presentation that he had said to me, you were prepared. Because his presentation was that we're not fighting the mayor, we're not investigating the mayor, we're fighting the town of Jonesboro. So who's the difference? I mean, I thought for sure it was me. But that's okay, because you're not fighting the mayor, you're fighting the town of Jonesboro. And we would have been entitled to any of these public records just by making a public records request. That's what they say. That's what they say. Just by making a public record request, we could have gotten every document from the town of Jonesboro just by making a request. And my response to them is, then why didn't you? I haven't fought you. I've cooperated. Everything you've asked for, I've made it later to your feet. Then why didn't you? Because had you done that, we would have made sure that you had what you asked for. But you chose not to. You chose to make it a criminal investigation. And when it rose to that level, and our lawyers keep trying to say to them, you can't keep fishing. You're supposed to have a criminal. You're supposed to have a crime. You're not supposed to fish until you find something that'll stick to something that you think might justify the action that you... No, you got to have some justifiable cause. You come in there and you say you need $17, $18 million of my records. I give them to you. to that search warrant, a document that gave the reason why. And you know who's sitting on the bench to rule and to make a determination as whether or not the sheriff was right? The same person who signed the warrants. The same person who signed the subpoenas, Jimmy T. How can we win? How can we win? Because if he says Andy Brown was wrong, if he says the DA was wrong, then he has to be. And you're the gatekeeper. You're the gatekeeper. You're the one that when I come to say this man has done something wrong, you're the one that I got to come to prove that is worthy of you issuing me a warrant. And if I didn't care anymore to read it, all I saw was that was Leslie Thompson's name on there, and that's good enough for me to sign it. Without looking at it, without rationalizing, without justifying, that's a problem. That's a problem. And I say, I wanted to take them all to court. But my lawyer said, no, let's go one at a time. And I'm trying my best to follow their lead. I wanted you to hear that, and I want to make sure that I'm not leaving anything out, because there's a couple of other items I want to hit real quick, but I wanted you to know that we are now moving into the appellate level. We're now taking this to the appellate court, and this will be in the Court of Appeals on Wednesday of next week. I know it's hot in here, but we won't stop until we get to the Supreme Court, if need be. Yes, ma'am.
In as much as you are taking it to the appellate level, will the town be able to pay those fees as you go forward? Or are they going to find some way to say we're not paying?
Yes. Let me say to you, because you brought up the money, the financial, whatever. Listen to me. Get me real good on this. All this is about my pay raise. So if there was anybody here, trying to figure out what in the world's all going on, this ain't about but one thing. That they got upset because I opted not to accept a prorated or a time frame of increase or increments of pay that would have taken me 16 years to get to what my office helped us make today. My chief of police makes $48,000. What they offered me was for me to work for 16 years to get to when I would make what the chief of police makes now. And I'm saying, no thank you. No thank you. No thank you. I believe that the CEO ought to be the most highly compensated person in the organization. And we went for it, and this council came in and said, we believe that too. And so in their effort to stop it somehow, we have to stop it. We don't believe that he merits, he justifies, that he deserves that. We got to stop it somehow. So what happened in the ruling the other day? The only thing they can say that they really did was took away my salary. And how could they do that? How could they do that? Doesn't the law and the Constitution of Louisiana say that there is no way that it's illegal, unlawful to reduce a mayor's pay during his term? That's in black and white. But they did it anyway. And how can they do that and get away with it? Will we let them get away with it? That it's up to us. It's not necessarily up to me. I'll fight them until my wife got there and she said, well, are they going to come and arrest you? And I said, probably. Probably. Oh, she's just not going to hear that. She just don't want to hear that. And I said, what's the problem? I'm committed to death. You know what I'm saying? So what is jail? It might create a problem in the mind of some of us that's wondering whether or not he's innocent or not. They've been watching to see if I'm going to be like this, and it hasn't happened yet. And I said to him the other day in St. Regis, I was speaking, and the sheriff was there, and I said to him, the two reasons that I'm not in jail is that one, God has not allowed it. Amen. And the other is that I'm innocent. And I put him in that order. I put him in that order because I know a lot of folk who have gone to jail who've been innocent. And some of the things that they have alleged that we've done over, I stopped putting them on the paper, but over 40-something allegations, that's enough in their mind to justify a room down there for me. But we still standing. Amen. And now it's time to bring the community together. That's what he was talking about. We just talked about a while ago. We can talk all day. And they'll still be waiting to do what they got to do with that big hammer. They're waiting to do that. They're waiting to see if we're going to sit back and do nothing. Now, the question about the compensation. the town can still continue to pay for the defense. Why? Because we're not through. We're not through. Now, are you talking about a blessing to have this council? You talking about what kind of situation we'd be in if God had not sent them? We knew that we were going to have to fight. He knew that we were going to have to fight. But we had to have the folk that would say, and if you come, bring your lunch. Because you won't have no Christmas life this year. You can't keep having your cake and eating it too. You can't keep on not supporting and not being supportive and still saying, come on, and we just say yes of the boss. That day is over. That day is over. So, that day is over. So, yes, we can continue to pay.
How can they say the councilman, I think I read that somewhere, have to pay the cost of court, not the lawyers, but the cost of the court?
Yes.
How does that work?
Yeah, what they've been trying to do all along is to separate us from our fishing capacity. It's got to be the Stevie. It's got to be the Stevie. He can't be the Stevie and the council member. That's why when we hired the attorneys, they said there's going to be a conflict because they still want her to pay some money. They want for her to be out of the money. They want to break us. And we just happened to sit down with the lawyers and say, what can you do? They said, we can have you to sign conflict of waivers. See how God is protecting us? We're going to sign conflict of waivers. As long as you believe that we have your back, and we'll protect you as the individual within your official capacity. They couldn't stop it, even though they made motions to try to get that kicked out. Now, as we now fight, they say in his ruling, he says in his ruling that we would have to be out of the money to pay cost of court. They really want that to be individually. But you have not been able to separate me from my capacity. So, we will, I'm still of the opinion that we should not be entitled to pay cost of court anyway. So that's why we're fighting this along the way. He said that $1,000 bond, you'll see that in that $1,000 bond he's requiring that they put up after the fact. Whenever you file an injunction, civil suit against somebody, you're supposed to be required to put up the money at the front end. The amount of money that you could potentially hurt these folk with, the kind of money that you lose should be able to be brought back to the table to make them whole again. He required no bond. No bond. That would let you know his mindset of what we're trying to do and where we're trying to go. You require no bond, and then not until after you rule in their favor do you then even require a $1,000 bond. And we want these guys to pay for wasting our time, is what they're saying.
So once you take it to the appellate level, you're hoping that'll be resolved at that point?
That's right. We're asking the appellate court at this point to give us a stay. Now, that request is going to hit Jimmy T's office first, to give us a stay and then to sign that we'll go beyond this point to the appellate level. We don't believe that Jim is going to sign off on a stay. He's not going to say, okay, because he says that we're going to enjoin both 700, Ordinance 700 and 701. That means that there can be no more money spent out under that budget and under those ordinances. That's his ruling. Why did he rule that way? Because we've already left that budget. We've already gone into the next year's budget and we're spending money on the next year's budget. So what is the relevance? What's the significance of your ruling? Because when he said that there can be no money spent out under 700 and 701, that includes my salary. Therefore, you cannot spend any more money from either one of those ordinances, and that stops and it's retroactive, so as to have you pay that money back. Well now, how are you going to separate 700 and 701? Because we spent $1.5 million under 700. How can a town go back to pay back the money that is paid on that revised budget? And when we don't have that money, and there's no way realistically you can, this is what we're hoping that the appellate level will see. There's no way that the town can be asked to do something like that. And why would anybody step to this plate? Every lawyer I talk to, black and white, say they've never seen anything like it ever in their life.
So if it goes to the appellate level,
Until they rule.
it reaches the next level.
Until they rule. That's right. And that's what we're hoping that will be handed down, but we're not really optimistic. We don't really believe that the state is going to happen. But as soon as that's exactly right. Any other question? No, it's hot.
Seems like that state needs to be hurried up.
Hey, what?
I mean, not the state, but get it to the pillar as quickly as you can get it there.
The only reason we're not there already is because I'm doing what they've been asking me to do, and that's I'm playing lawyer and trying to get them to hear and to understand some things. See, one of our lawyers is in London right now, and the other one is involved in a murder trial. And I know that while you are so busy doing all these things that you have to do, you have so much on your mind, on your plate. But the only thing I got on my plate is Jonesboro. See, so I had to go over the other day to share with them, look, you can't let them rope-a-dope you here. You got to be able to understand that $204,000 is totally irrelevant. That's another, and if you're going to send a message to the appellate level, then make sure you ask that question. Why would a judge bring that in to make his decision when that was on another council's watch? And why would he bring it up when he knows that the mayor does not make those kind of decisions, and those decisions are made based on what the council has that authority, and that's a sole authority that they have to do. So why are you bringing this stuff up? Why are you bringing up the $176,000 when even if you don't know where it came from, the budget was still down? And at the end of the day, all you could say is, well, we just don't like the way he arrived at it, or we just don't think he did a good job. But you could not, even after, let's say, if Honors had been in my office for 3 months, had gone over all these things with me, and made recommendations as they left, and then you're going to take us to court, civil court, and then take it to the criminal level. Somebody's got to see this. Now, I'll break that down and just get to the close and say this, what I have to say. You can tell me what you want to do. It's time, I think, for us to take this to the next level. We have tried, and I've done it according to God's utterance. I have walked it on a day-by-day basis. Some folk have questioned my timing because there have been some that said, "Well, we've been ready to go. We've been ready to go." You know, and I said, "But not yet, not yet." And then every day something happened to help to make it good that we didn't do it yesterday. Because you see, there are those who wouldn't have seen Jimmy T and his racist mentality day before yesterday. But they see it clearly now. I think they see it clearly now. And I think all that had to happen, all that had to culminate. Chief Andy Brown says, I'm not trying to do you anything wrong. Well, it's not the fact that I see you in that light, but the accumulation of the things that you guys have done as a whole has had a kind of a conspiracy twist. And as we move forward, now I think we have a great case to request not only the restitution for the town, for the character that's been attacked, reputation. It's time to play hardball. Now, I'm just asking you to talk to somebody, because in my mind now, I have a 3-week vision that within 3 weeks we can come together and have a major rally. Major rally. I'm talking about when you make sure, I'll talk to the pastors that I couldn't get to today, make sure that the churches, I want to do it on a Wednesday night. On a Wednesday evening. I want to do it when you normally have a Bible study. Because while this may be the best lesson that you could get to be able to see God at work, to be able to see what He's doing. We don't have any fear that He's not going to bring us through. We prayed, we've seen the victory from day one. So now let's pull the community together. And they'll follow the leaders of the community. They'll follow you. And so when we say we got to have 300 to 400 committed, we know that Pastor Desiree has a list of 25 that says, I'm going to be there. And if they tell us she's going to be there, they're going to be there. See? And so when we do it like that, because I've always said from the very beginning, I didn't want to bring anybody in when we were not ready to stand to fight our own fight. I don't need Al Sharpton, I don't need President Barack, anybody coming down there trying to stand up for something that we don't feel strong enough about to fight ourselves.
Okay.
This is our house.
That's right.
It's our house. So now we make ready to contact. Now I'm not saying that Al Sharpton won't be here, because it's my hope at this point to make ready to go to Washington, D.C. It's my intent to go and talk to Eric Holder, the Attorney General for the United States. I've already set up an appointment with the Attorney General, Buddy Caldwell, for next week. I'm going out to tell him, because see, this spirit works best that we're fighting in the dark.
Hallelujah.
We're going to tell him, so that there will be somebody who would be about justice, somebody who would be about equality, somebody who would be about helping to give a people the relief that we deserve. We're going to tell him. And so that when we come together, if Al decides he wants to come, if he says whatever he's going to charge us, that's going to be no problem. We're going to take care of that, because we need to make sure now that the country, anywhere I go now, walking to a lady's house, the place the other day, she said, your face is on the paper in Chicago every week. I just want to meet you. Yeah, we got people anywhere you go now, almost everywhere you go. We went to a convention the other day. We go down there, and every mayor and everybody across the state know Jonesboro. Oh yeah, and they are rooting for us. And they are saying the same thing. Let us know when you're going to fight. Let us know when you need us to come to help. And they're willing to come. But we got to make sure we're ready to fight. As we get ready to close.
No.
Question coming.
Without the stance where NAACP is, okay?
Yes, could you give us that?
Yes, sir.
Yes, ma'am. Come on. I appreciate you too, for all
And
that.
I'll just sit here, that's okay, because it's hot. Let me just tell you all where we are with all the going on in Jonesboro. You know, we are the watchdogs. You might think that we are sitting idly by because you aren't hearing what's going on. We're not. Now, the young man over there asked a question a few minutes ago, well, when are we going to go to rally? First of all, we have been with this situation from day one. I mean, you can just ask the lawyers where we are with the situation. We were at Regional. We met with the General Counsel of the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People. Our mayor had a chance to tell his story. What they said, and NAACP just can't get up and march when they get ready. There are tons of paperwork that we have to complete as well. And we have to make sure that all of our I's are dotted and T's are crossed. We're in that process. We have written to Congresswoman Mary Landrieu. As a matter of fact, there's a letter writing campaign going on. Alexander, Congresswoman Landrieu said they didn't know anything that was going on in Jonesboro. We have said to the legislative auditor, we want to meet with you personally to tell us why is it that you can come into a town that you say that you are trying to settle all of this disarray with 700 and 701, and you are telling vendors not to bring their business into Jackson Parish, into Jonesboro. What affects Jonesboro affects everybody in Jackson Parish. And we're there. I like this crowd. We'd like for all of you to become members of the Jackson Parish branch of NAACP. Then you'll know on a day-to-day basis what we're doing. Because we aren't sitting by idly doing nothing. We're trying to help the mayor as best as we possibly can. But we have to go about it in a different way than what you all would ordinarily would go about and do. If you want to march, then march. Because it'll be on you. But NAACP has lawsuits on a daily basis where they have gone out, and as serious as this is, they're being sued. The mayor of Waterproof, Higginbottom, as the mayor has indicated a few minutes ago, the same charges as what's going on with our mayor. The mayor in Marksville, just heard the other day, he's going through the very same thing. And I applaud the new council, men and women, a woman who's standing up. Charlotte, I told her the other day, you're the prettiest, blackest councilwoman I've ever seen. And she is. And then we have, I know Stevie, I know what kind of person he is, and you have to calm down, Minister Daddy. So I'm saying, we with you, 100%, but we want you all to be with us as well. Because we're not just standing by doing nothing. It may seem that way, and it might be that way because we don't see you. So we ask that you please join us in this fight, because numbers count. And if we can join together like we're together right now, we can conquer a whole lot of things that go on right here in Jonesboro. We know what kind of town Jonesboro is. We know that. But we fight against our own selves. We have seeds that are planted into different organizations and meetings that whatever is going on right now, you can rest assured no later than 6 or 7 o'clock it's going to be told to the other side. So I'm saying to you all, whatever we decide to do, you know, we have to pray about things that we do and make sure our steps are ordered by the Lord. We just can't jump out there. And I'm not one, and the members of our organization are not one who's just going to jump out there because you think, well, you're in NAACP, you ought to be doing something. But we're not. But I want you to know that we are behind the mayor and the councilman, and we are for what's right for Jackson Parish, not just Jonesboro. Because we see it, it's in Chatham, it's in Ears, it's in all the little small entities, equipment. So we ask that all of us bind together. And let's fight this fight, and let's fight it together.
Amen.
I'm not going to come up either, but what we're dealing with, as all of you know, if you've ever been to church or vacation Bible school, we're dealing with a stronghold. And concerning stronghold, the Word of God says we're not wrestling against flesh and blood. It's not so much Jimmy T. It's not so much Esmite. It is the spirits that are motivating them. Now, the Bible says the weapons of our warfare are mighty through God to the pulling down of these strongholds and cutting them at the root. So I would like to, I'm a writer, I love to write, and there's power in prayer, but there's only power in prayer when you pray the word and believe on one accord. Today I was studying Genesis, and I'll be brief. I was studying Genesis, the 11th chapter, and the 6th verse, and it was talking about the Tower of Babel. And God said, behold, the people is one, and they have one voice. And this they begin to do, and now nothing that they have imagined that they can do will be impossible. We know it's talking about unity, and we know it's talking about what we can imagine to do. So what I'm asking, would you allow me to formulate a prayer full of the Word of God and circulate it to all the churches? And if we all would agree to pray that prayer, pray the Word in that prayer, the entire week together in unity, we will see those strongholds come down. And once the strongholds and the spirits behind these people are evacuated, then either Mr. T will have to leave office. This one will notice you'll have to all of a sudden move to Arizona. All kinds of things will happen. I worked for the Internal Revenue when I was at home in New Jersey. I began to pray one verse from Isaiah 49. And the very colonels and generals that were attacking me, one little black woman, 8 months pregnant to Internal Revenue, my husband and I and another pastor began to pray that one verse. Everybody who came against me left that Internal Revenue, and I alone was standing from praying one verse. So how much more if the Baptists, the Word of Faith, the Kojic, all God's children start praying the Word the same week, the same prayer, we will see the strongholds come down.
We're about to get out of here. I know some of y'all stay as long as you can. I know it's been hot. I'll talk to Dr. Simmons about that, so the next time we meet, we won't have it to be so hot. But now it's gotten down to the end to where I hope, we probably should have started there, but let there be no doubt that this is spiritual warfare. Let there be no doubt that we understand that it's not so much the individual, but for those folks who are allowing these spirits to house them, that we want to come up against them. And I want to say that ever since we've been going through this, I've seen more people praying, more of a call to unity. And it's really made me feel good to see our community come together as best as we have to this point. And I know we have even more coming together to do. And so ultimately, it's so that God might be glorified. Ultimately, it's so that what He's doing to try to change the the landscape and to try to give us for what we evidently, sometimes, I'm not even so sure we feel worthy of. But if he's trying to get, he's been putting it on my mind for so long that it's just a wilderness experience. That in order to get to the promised land, you're going to have to go through something.
Okay.
And this is where we are. We're going through it, but we got to be able to stomach it, we got to be able to take it. And for him to get the praise that we were able to come together, and maybe we keep saying at the office, that we'll be that office, we'll be that administration like that's on the side of the hill that everybody will look to, aspire to. We don't have problems in our minds because they are coming in and making us do this, making us correct that. We are thankful. We are thankful. What else do you want us to do? How much more do you want us to do? So that at the end of the day, will there be anything that we don't know? They made me an expert on government budget law. I can help a whole bunch of municipalities now. So I reach out. The more we learn, the more we know, the better we're going to be to help others. But to be able to show a community, a whole town that's unified, that's putting God first, that's calling and inquiring of Him to come to help us to get through this, that's where it's at. That's where it's at. So I'm going to ask you to do this. With each of you keep in your mind as you make ready to leave here today, that there's going to be another call. Your name is on the paper. I think maybe you signed in. But if you would just talk to 3 individuals, so that the next time we meet, that you can bring, yes, you got to go, and I'll be right behind you. We got another meeting. That you will bring 3, thank you for coming to us, Kim, that you'll bring 3 folk with you the next time we meet. I'm sure we're going to meet another time before we get to that big meeting. I'm sure we're going to meet another time. As a matter of fact, I want to call a special meeting with the ministers. I want to have at least 25 to 30 ministers at our next meeting so we can just sit and talk ourselves. So that when we do come out, that we'll be on the same page, unified, and know that we're doing what we're doing for and for what good and the reason and purpose that we're doing it. So everybody is a center of influence for at least 3 to 5 folk. It's somebody that you didn't bring with you today that you know you could have called, that would have come with you.
Mayor Leslie,
Yes.
does she have that permission she asked for?
Yes, most definitely.
We all need
Most
to
definitely.
just embrace that
Yes,
and
yes.
then see that
You
it's
have it
done.
together. You have it together. You're gonna get it to her.
I can have it done by Saturday of this week, and however you want us to circulate to the churches, we will certainly comply.
I will meet. After you get it ready, and we'll have a meeting of the ministers. We'll contact through our office to make sure that we meet the next time. And I expect us to have at least 20 to 30 strong ministers. And then we'll talk about that, pass it out, and we'll go from there.
I'll have it ready by this Saturday.
Okay, good. We get Sandy up. We have Sandy in the house. Because, see, now what we're about to do, I see Sheila back there. See, it's some foot soldiers. I see Weed back there. It's some foot soldiers in the house that know how to get done what we're about to have to get done. We're going to have to incorporate Claiborne Parish. That's that 2nd Judicial District. We're going to have to incorporate Bienville, Dante. You know how to do that. We know how to do that. And that's what we're about to do. So that the next time we meet, we ought to be right where we need to be. And then from there, we'll go and go to Washington. What we got to do? I'll get he'll pay people to Washington. We get that done. Is there anything else? Hey, Wendy, NAACP, won't there be no question about it? The NAACP has been with me from the very beginning. They've been with us from the very beginning. They get up in the morning, 6 o'clock in the morning, get on the radio with us before I get on the radio. They've been there the whole time. They've already sent requests to the national headquarters to make sure that we can march. Now, that's not to say that they have to get permission to walk individually, because if we decide as a community to march, Wendy will be there. Ms. Hayes will be there. But they can't march under the umbrella of the NAACP. And what we want is to get the approval and the permission from the national branch so that we can then look for that help to come in from the state and to be even stronger. But we're about to really do something special, and I think, yes.
Well, I had told Vinny I was going to join the cause in '68 in Chicago. You know, when the marches was going down here. That's what we was in. That's how we marched, because we was in the NAACP. And see, it was basically, minister. I was just telling my husband, it's time for the leaders to march out. Because that's what led us, our leaders. And just like you said, if the leaders head out and take a stand, we gonna follow.
That's right.
And when she was talking to me, and just like you said, when you sit behind, you don't know nothing. But then, I started going to court and everything, and I looked back, and I thought, okay, But it is, you know, you got to be part of the NAACP. I can't just go out there and say I'm gonna march with you because I'm not an NAACP. And you know, that's what I did, and that's who I am, and that's where we started in '68. I was 9 years old, and I never forget. I never forget what Dr. King said. Everybody went wild. He said, no, we got to love them. We can't be like they be. We march, they beat, they went to jail. But one thing I really did, they covered us. Because we was children. They couldn't lock us up, but they could hit us. And they covered, and I saw it all. And you know, it's time because I see it all coming right back. Ain't nothing changed.
Repeating itself.
Martin King says, we ain't made it. We haven't arrived. Don't get too comfortable. Because the enemy is waiting to attack again. And you just got to be ready. And like I said, I'm going to stand. I'm stand. I always stand.
I know you are. And you're going to help us with the annexation process. We're going to do on that side of town too. That's it. We'll start that next week.
And you can march if you're not a member of NAACP, and we get permission to march. Anybody, everywhere can march.
And I thank you for coming. I also want to just personally thank Shake. We won't put him on YouTube, but I will say, be careful picking up because it's really not about race. There are a lot of whites that are supporting. There are a lot of whites supporting. I don't want folks to get the wrong impression. It's just a small group, and it's just that group that houses that spirit. So there are a lot of us. Shaky said to me before we came here today. He said, when we get through with this, when we finally one day, he said, I may not even live to be, when I see this finally reach this fruition. But if we keep doing what we're doing, it's going to be a much better place to live. So I thank you for taking time to come by here. Pastor Desiree, if you would give us a word on the close, a word of prayer, would you mind? Okay, well, let's stand in this.
Father God, we thank you and we praise you that we know that you are God and above you there is no other. We thank you that the greater one is on the inside of us. We thank you that no weapon formed against us shall prosper. I plead the blood of Jesus over every person within our earshot. Father, we thank you that our steps are ordered by you. You're giving us your wisdom. You're giving us your counsel, Father. We thank you that we will no longer be a city that's divided, because your word says where there is division and strife, there's every evil work. And it's time for the evil work to cease and the prosperity of the Lord to begin in our city. And we agree on it tonight. In Jesus' name, amen.